Did you get it right?
I'm trying to see.
Oh no, I can't go in this room.
Okay.
I'm trying to find a room that I can go into where I could talk.
I think we are live now. All right, perfect. Again, welcome you all to our discussion tonight on Afrocentricity. And before we go ahead, I'd just like you to introduce yourselves. You're muted.
I'm muted?
No, my brother.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Rufus Silas. I'm originally from Long Island, New York. I'm currently residing in Atlanta, Georgia. I'm married with a plethora of children and grandchildren.
All right.
I am 3 months away from retirement. I'm currently working for the transit system in Atlanta, and I hold a BA of Christian education.
Thank you.
June go.
All right.
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello, my name is Ralph Jefferson. I am from Long Island, New York as well. I currently reside in Connecticut. I am married with 2 children. I have a bachelor's in kinesiology, a bachelor's in as well as one in criminal justice, finishing up my MBA, and that's it.
That's it. Okay. Lady Willie.
And I am just Teresa Willie. I reside in New York. I am a pastor's wife, and that's it.
That's it. Well, welcome. Welcome. And I have to first thank you all for agreeing to come on. And we're just going to have a conversation. There's no right or wrong answers, just what your thoughts are. And as you all know, I'm working on my doctoral degree. And this is part of one of my classes, which is in Afrocentricity. And when you hear the word Afrocentricity, could you tell me what thought comes to mind? How about we start with you, Ralph Jefferson?
Afrocentricity, I think the way I understand it is an attachment, a way of attaching yourself to roots or heritage of the peoples that come from the continent of Africa. An example of Afrocentricity could be something as simple as a certain hairstyle or a style of dress or a type of food to eat. Or in some people's eyes, it's connecting in a way through older tribal rituals and religions.
Okay, thank you. Rufus?
So when I think about Afrocentricity, first things come to my mind. I never did any in-depth studying on the term. I've heard it various times as I went through college. I always likened it to looking through the African-American experience through the eyes of African-Americans.
Mm.
You know, we've always been taught to view things through the European perspective, especially being on this continent.
Mm-hmm.
But we know that we too have a history, a culture, a language that we did not have an opportunity to experience. So I liken Afrocentricity to those languages, those cultures, those dance, music, religion, all those things has an African history to it that we have not experienced as we should.
Thank you. Lady Willie?
Okay, so I'm the last one. Okay, I definitely agree with both of the other individuals that's online. But when I think of Afrocentricity, I think of Black culture. I think of of our struggle. I think of our accomplishments. I think of the fact that as far as we have come, we yet have so much further to go. It's amazing to me because Martin Luther King, I believe he died somewhere like in the late 60s. I was in junior high school. And I remember when they told us, that somebody shot him. And when I really look at from the 60s up until now, I think of the strong voice that we used to have from our ancestors, even going back to when they was brought here from Africa, how strong they were not to fall into can I say it the way I want to say it?
Yeah, the way you want to say it.
Okay. They did not fall into the European, the way the Europeans treated them and talked to them. They were strong enough to stand up so that we could be where we are today. We really, when I think of Afrocentricity, I think of that we have so much further to go, because if you really look at it, it appears that we're going backwards, at this point in time. I was looking at the news and they were saying that the Supreme Court just the Supreme Court has decided to look at some kind of bill that made it to the Supreme Court of regulating the minority vote. So I think of us. I think of my black skin, my black hair. As your brother said, that our music, our accomplishments. We have when I think of Afrocentricity, I think of our accomplishments. I'm sitting here and I'm looking at Ralph Jr., someone that I have known, ever since he was a little guy, being raised, in public schools. I could just go on and on, about what, Afrocentricity, is to me, from my perspective.
Okay. Thank you for that. Afrocentricity was an idea or philosophy that came from a Dr. Malif Asante. And Dr. Malif Asante was over, I think, African Studies at Temple University.
I had Dr. Asante.
Oh, well, he's the one who is the creator of Afrocentricity. He has written several books. He studied over the years. He really has some philosophy set up. And he basically says it's a theoretical idea that suggests that African people must view the world from a standpoint of Africans as subjects as opposed to objects. As subjects as opposed to objects. When you think about that, what does that make you think, when just on his definition, and he has a whole lot more to it, but just that short thought that we should be view the world from the standpoint as subjects as opposed to objects. Anybody?
Can I go first?
Yes.
Okay.
Go ahead,
Junebug.
No.
Go ahead, Ralph.
No, I'm Junebug. You got it. No, go ahead.
Subject. Okay. Oh boy, I am not the person to ask these kind of questions, because what has really happened, although that we have been emancipated, slavery has been over for over 200 years plus. Okay, we still have not come but so far. We are still in a subject position, because technically, from my point of from my opinion, I feel that white America only lets us go but so far. Okay, so that puts us subject to them. We don't have the same opportunities, that they have. We have to work harder for everything that we do. Okay, we can have the same job as them. Okay, and white America, I'm gonna say it the way I want to say it. In white America, we have the same job that they have. Okay, they will get paid according to their worth. We will get paid what they give them. So, from a subject point of view, it's not too far, okay, from being enslaved in some capacity. Okay, because white America has, they say that we believe was, okay, they have, when I went to Georgia, with you and your brother was taking us around, okay, I even found out that there were two emancipation proclamations, one for the whites and one for the blacks. I don't understand how come that information, why I had to go all the way to Georgia just to find that out. And then they had copies of both of them, and I got them. So when I think of the word subject to me, okay, stands out to me because they still limit us. They still don't value us. Okay, they still don't respect us no more than what we can do for them. And I am so sorry if anybody is offended when they see this, but that's what I believe.
Listen, this is an Afrocentricity class. All my professors are Black. It is about the thoughts of Afrocentricity. So like I said, he said we should view the world from the standpoint of as a subject as opposed to an object. Okay, Raphael, you was going. Go ahead.
The way I understand, my opinion, excuse me, is when you, as far as studying African Americans, I think an object is something to be used or possessed, while the subject would be something to be understood. But that was my initial answer until I heard what I just heard. And
but no, keep whatever your thoughts are.
The term subject, and it really made me realize, like, yeah, we are still subject to other folks in a lot of ways. So
white America,
I want to use that too.
Okay.
To white America, excuse me. But I say other folks because it seems like now it's just like everybody gets more of a pass and is able to surpass us, because there's certain people who might not even be white that could blend in or are closer to white or more socially accepted, whether they be Chinese or Indian or whatever. Exactly. It seems like as long as they not us, then they okay.
Absolutely.
So that's that's the tough part.
I agree.
Rufus?
So when I think about object as opposed to subject, I believe when we stop becoming an object and we become a subject, then it gives us a voice that was never given. Our voice should be respected. Our culture should be the topic of discussion, our language, our worship, everything we do, it should be subject as opposed to us. Because when we came here, we was objects.
Yes.
We was to be sold, we was to be worked, just like the animals and stuff. But when we become a subject, then we have a seat at the table. Not saying that we've arrived, but I'm just saying in the sense that we're in the context of which you put it, when we become a subject, our voice matters now. Our cultures matter now. Our matters now and stuff. So that's the way I think that subject brings us to the table at a seat instead of being at the menu.
And I understand exactly, because when we're a subject, like you said, we're looking at ourselves and what we've done, our culture. And when we think about our ancestors, as Lady Willie brought it, our ancestors, they have brought so much. When they came to America, when they were brought here with their own names. So if they might have said, well, my name is Abutu, then whoever got them say, no, your name is Bill.
Absolutely.
And then we say, well, I speak 5 languages. No, you speak 5 dialects. You see how it presses it down? Because we came from, our ancestors came with knowledge. They didn't have the knowledge of the European side, but they had their own strength. So we are the byproducts of the ancestors that survived and were not killed, were able to survive everything that they went through. So I think that being able for them to survive everything that they went through when they came here was one that got killed or was thrown over the ship. But those were our ancestors that were able to do that. So I think this is good conversation going on when we think about Afrocentricity. And as you were mentioning, Rufus, about having a seat at the table and being able to look at us as subjects and not objects. That brings me to education now. Do you believe that as Africans, that our education, we are like marginalized in that area?
Well, what I've seen and what's heartbreaking to me is the way I see the next generation, how they don't utilize, they take for granted a lot of the things that, like Sister Willie said, we had to work for. Education, we people died for the chance to read. Well, actually, people don't even desire to read. They died for the right to vote. People don't even go and vote anymore. They think it's unimportant. And so they robbed us from our mental state, thinking that our self-worth is not worth it. What they're going to do, what they're going to do. I hear that. Well, they're going to do what they want to do. And that's the mindset they want to keep you at. So what? They make you look down on education, where we should be out there with these same class teaching this self-worth. When we look at people like Marcus Garvey, when he was out there, and the Malcolm X's, who was trying to instill and empower the African-American family to say, listen, look at your beautiful Black skin. You ain't got to change your hair to look like them. You are beautiful just like you are. We have a rich culture. And Brother Diop, with his book, the Origins of the Civilization, he said the mankind originated with African Americans.
In Africa, absolutely.
In Africa. So we have a rich culture that we do need to dive in and get educated upon, as opposed to what they was only teaching us through their European schools.
Because of the Western culture that we have. And when you look at the children that sit inside the classroom, Ralph, inside the classroom, but outside of history. What do you think about that?
Wow, that's deep. You're muted, Ralph.
You're muted, Ralph. You're muted.
I'm sorry. So, I mean, inside the classroom, but outside of history, to me, it sounds like, I mean, you're in a place where learning, you're in a space where learning takes place. You're there with the idea that you're there to learn. But even in that place, one, you can only learn what they want to teach you.
Absolutely.
Right. And two, you're saying you're inside the classroom, outside of history. It's just like, look at Texas, Mississippi, and a few other states last year made moves to take what they there's a term for it, but they wanted to stop public schools from teaching critical race theory. Here we go. Now, up until the last 2 years, I didn't even know there was a name for it. I just thought it was like, hey, this is what happened, and let's tell people about it.
Wow.
Yeah, there was the transatlantic slave trade. There was segregation. There was beatings and hangings and rapings and all these things that happened. We're going to tell you about it and how it impacted present-day African Americans. Then they said, nope, let's put a tag on it. And everybody was excited. Oh, yeah, we're going to call it critical race theory. And they let it happen so that they could specifically ban it from being taught in the schools, which, again, like you said, we're in the Western civilization, created, from divide and more so conquering. But, yeah, I kind of went off on a tangent there. And that's it.
Lady Willie, like I said, inside the classroom, outside of history, how does our Black children see our value?
Well, without being redundant, I totally agree with Ralph Jr. Okay. That's just another way of saying that they're inside the classroom, but they're denied the information of their culture. My grandbaby is in the public schools in Texas. I lived in Texas, going backwards and forwards in Texas. You might as well say I lived there because I went there every month, to take care of my grandbaby. and it was Black History Month, and my grandbaby didn't even know who Martin Luther King was.
Wow.
And she was in the 3rd grade, and she had never heard of Martin Luther King. So I started trying to check some things out, because her guardian put me down, with having a say so, on an education where I can call in and find out, where she is. But I found out that most of the schools in Houston, Texas, where the Black children go, okay, they are denied the information of their culture, and they're denied of seeing people that look like them, in authority. My grandbaby came here for the summer. I put her in a program called KYC. At that point, she didn't even know that what she can do, intellectually, because she lived in, if anybody know Junebug, if you know about Texas, she lived in 3rd Ward. And that was at the bottom of the barrel. They didn't even have books in the year of 2020, at that time. They didn't have a book. They got dittos, So they're in the class, our children are in the classroom. And then so many times, because of young white folks that's in the classroom with our children, they don't understand our children. And when they don't understand our children, to a certain degree, they just let them get lost in the shuffle. They don't take the time like teachers used to do years ago. When they saw a child struggling or whatever, they would take the time and, pull that, child aside, and try to help that child, but they are denied so many different things. They're denied books, they're denied information, okay? They're denied example, because all they see, and this is so crazy, in most of the schools, in the vicinity of my Diamond School, okay, it was all white teachers. And don't judge me, but I asked them, I said, are there any Black people in this town? In this school? Well, actually, there was a couple of tokens. There was a couple of tokens, but like I said, definitely agree with Ralph Jr. They're there, but they don't get the education, that other nationalities get. And it's amazing to me how every nationality can come into this country and progress and achieve. But when we come, even today, even today, when we come, okay, we have to go through so many different changes, just to be able to survive here. It's amazing how some nationalities can come here and they have no paperwork, no social security number, no nothing, but they can go to our welfare system and they can go to our social security and get a social security card, and they can go to our welfare system and they can get food stamps and they can get a little bit of help. But if you go there, and there's no shame in my game. There was a time when I was younger, my husband and I, and we was having some hard times. Okay, he had lost his job and we went to go get some help. They told me to sell my car.
I believe it.
Okay, but we have a community, and I think Ralph Jr. knows where it is. We have a community here, in Copeg. All right. It is one of the biggest bodegas around here. It serves the school, and it's by Copeg High School, Copeg Junior High School, and it is the biggest bodega around here. It started out as nothing. Now it's the #1 bodega here, and I found it totally amazing that while I was standing there to pay pay for my meal, the girls in the back of the register was buying food with them. The guys came in and they had bought supplies with the girls' EBT.
Wow. Okay. That says a lot.
And you know what else? And all of them live in the same house. And they have the most beautiful house in Copeg Village. And all of them live in the same house.
Wow.
So they can come and excel. Okay. But we still, as a Black community, we still have to fight for everything
that we get. You're
everything that we get, everything that we want for our children. You know, that's why we educated our children, you know, so they won't have to struggle.
That's it. Wow. Thank you. Rufus, I saw you on mute.
Yes.
Yeah, so when you said inside the classroom, outside of history, the first thing I thought about is deception. The big lie. You know, our history stolen. So our children are sitting in there listening to the big lie, like we didn't exist, that there never was a Booker T. Washington, or a Harriet Tubman, or Sojourner Truth, a W.E. Du Bois, a Thurgood Marshall, you know, and those that Nat Turner, and all those ones that what happened to their story in the history books? You don't find them in the history books.
They're not there.
No.
They're teaching them. So we're in the classroom, but we've been lied to. A half truth is a lie.
Okay.
Half the picture. This is the picture I want y'all to know. You know, because most of the things that African Americans was involved in was stolen from us.
It's true.
Right.
If we invented something, they stole it, or took it, or killed us for it, hung us for it, raped us, robbed us. You know, Carver, George Washington Carver, his contributions, a lot of things. We didn't find this out till we probably had to make them even recognize these individuals.
Give us a month.
So when you say in the classroom, outside, you know, history, you know, African Americans, we built this country.
Absolutely.
You not only, you know, physically built it, but, you know, spiritually, everything they took.
Right.
You know, so I just feel like the big lie, a big deception when I think of it that way.
I like that answer.
That's good. That's good.
Yes.
That's good. We are all, and all of us are products of a Eurocentric education. We all are, you know, as we have over here in the Western world, and our thoughts and our values and our ideas are based on what we've learned here. You know, we don't have anything from our ancestors. We don't have any, like as Rufus mentioned, any of our religious backgrounds or any of our religious ideas or anything. We have nothing from our culture. Meantime, every culture can come here and have their parade. And when they have their parades, their culture is on display. Their outfits are on display, and their dances are on display, whatever it is on display. But where is ours?
Is that a question?
Has there been an African?
Well, we have one. It's in Harlem.
Okay.
Am I going to say that it's publicized as much as the other ones? To be honest, it's not publicized as much. The news will cover, again, other things more than they'll cover ours, to the point where, you know, a lot of us don't even know that it's there. You know what I mean?
Right,
it was recent. It passed not long ago in the summer, but that's how you know it's not even being pushed out there to us.
That's it.
And that's the one. But, you know, funny enough, I can go to, you know, a Puerto Rican day, and nothing against anyone celebrating the heritage, but we're just saying, like, again, where is ours? I can go to the Puerto Rican Day Parade in New York City. I can go to 2 different ones in Long Island. I can go, you know what I mean?
Right.
There's multiple, there's so many of them, it's like you can't miss it. Ours is like, one and done. Okay, y'all finished.
That's it.
You know.
I think it's very sad. And I'm so glad, this conversation could go on and on about Afrocentricity. It's good. And I think it really needs to get out more. It needs to be talked about more, because I felt like I raised 4 children. I think I slighted my children by not, but I slighted them in a way that I didn't even know some stuff, because I was raised, I was educated in the same educational opportunity as they had, and yes, we knew the Martin Luther King and we knew the, Sojourner Truth, but what about so many more things that as Africans that we should be able to know, to connect to our culture. Lady Will, you had your hand up?
No, I was just pushing up my glasses.
So I think this has been great for our kids to even sit in the classroom and see themselves in the history book.
Right.
See themselves that have the things that oh, my light went out. See themselves in history. And that also being said, other cultures will respect us more because they would know the history too. So I think this has been a good conversation on Afrocentricity. Mm-hmm. Any last minute thoughts?
Yeah, I'd just like to end with this. I think, like Sister Willie said a lot, just because Barack Obama was elected president didn't mean we arrived.
No, we haven't.
Right.
You know what I mean? We cannot stop
educating
our own. The first teacher is the mother
of
the child. And we have to instill in our children that self-worth, that you are somebody.
Mm-hmm.
As a union officer, when we do a lot of protests, we have signs that say, I am a man, I am a woman. But that derived out of the civil rights movement. I'm somebody, But what happened, we got assimilated into the white culture. So in order to get them to help us out of the enslavement they placed us in, we had to buy into their philosophy. And that's how they taught my family. We'll give you food stamps in Section 8, but that man got to go.
That's right.
Yeah.
So
that's right.
Family.
Yeah.
Destroy our family and our culture, but for trade, we'll give you a little food. We'll give you a little money.
Wow.
And destroy our voice.
Wow.
But you know what? The devil is a lie. That God always has some rams in the bush. Make sure our story's been heard. And I appreciate sitting on this panel. I learned a lot from y'all, and I just thank you for being a part of it.
Thank you. Lady Willie, any last thoughts?
Well, fortunately, my children were blessed because my husband's family is very Afrocentric. And one thing that I admire, like he just said, everything begins with the mom.
Mm-hmm.
And like you, I was raised in European schools, white, and I learned a lot from my husband. My husband's family know their family tree all the way back, like almost to like the 1800s.
Wow.
Okay, they have books, the grandfather, the great grandfather on both sides of the family, and one thing, I wish that we had more of a committed voice, that's out there, because like Junebug said, we don't get the footage, and the media as involved in certain things, but that also means, that as a people, we need to come together a little bit more and unify. My opinion is that at some point we have not overcome the Jim Crow philosophy that he pushed in us, telling the dark skinned individual that they wasn't better than the lighter skin, and then the ones that were biracial, they was able to work inside the house. It's not just society, that handicaps us and hinder us, but it's some of the things that we do ourselves, Okay, and we have to step up to the mantle, because you got to admit the other nationalities that have come here, they are a beast at getting their information out, and they come together, and they don't even have to like each other. Okay, they don't even have to like each other, but they will support each other. And you know what's so crazy? They will support each other before they support us. You know, and we support everybody. Okay, as African Americans, when you really look at it, we'll go into a Chinese store, we'll go into a Spanish store, but they don't support our soul foods, our soul food places. They will not. They don't. They will not. So we have to unify more as a people. And as I was saying before, and this is the last thing that I'm going to say, it's a shame that when Martin Luther King died, we lost a lot of our voice, because most of the individuals that are talking for us now, most of them get paid to come. It's what it is. It's not like Martin Luther King. It was from his heart. He wanted to see change. Okay. He wanted to see better homes, better jobs, better community, you know, for Black people. So I you know, in ending, you know, I think that, you know, I'm not James Brown, but I think we need to get up, you know, and do better. And those of us that have learned, you know, who have been enlightened, you know, about so many different things, like my husband's family. Tell your children, you know, how you fell in love. Tell your children your struggles. Tell your children, you know, even sometimes that your failures. Okay, so they won't make the same mistakes that, you know, that we did.
Thank you so much. That's great. I enjoyed that. Ralph, your last thoughts.
I mean, I think they just both wrapped it up, took it home. I could say I appreciate the opportunity for the discussion to be on the panel, and it was thought-provoking, caused me to think about some ideas and, you know, points of view that I didn't have. So, you know, I just appreciate the conversation.
Thank you. I thank you all, and I thank you, Ralph. You said you had Dr. Malif Asante.
Dr. Asante, he was the head of the department at Temple.
Yeah.
And I think at one point Harvard was trying to poach him, or he went and set up their program for them, something like that. I can't really remember how it went. But
he's something.
Yeah.
he's got some views. He's, you know, he has a lot of good points. A lot of good points. But I thank you again, you all, for joining me in this conversation.
Thank you for having me.
I appreciate it. And hopefully we have even